now we will swiftly go into a discussion on women, power, and money. And we've invited 3 different experienced business leaders, and the Prime Minister has agreed to stay for a round table. So please, Prime Minister Siliņa, take the seat at the very end. And from Vilnius, Arminta Saladziene, Vice President at Nasdaq and European Markets. From Stockholm, I've lost him somewhere, Anders Larsson, please, the Baltic Head of Sustainable Banking at SEB. And from Riga, Līga Meņģelsone, President of the Latvian Red Cross and previously Health Minister, as well as Director of the Latvian Employers Federation. Please, to everybody, thank you for joining us. Let me start with you, Madam Prime Minister. I know that you're committed to significantly improving Latvia's economic performance, and clearly women play a large role in the economy. So what do you think are the next steps that should be taken in Latvia, or for that matter in Europe, for women to be able to gain power and money faster and easier?
Good question. Starting from the last year already, we started to work on an initiative that women on boards and councils could get a maternity leave. And at the beginning, it seemed to be more easiest way how we can do it, together with Minister of Justice sitting also next here in the room. But it seemed during this process that it's not so easy to do. And but hopefully we are more or less to the end of this legislation preparation process. And that would be one thing which is very important, that women in leadership can do more in councils and boards and do as well maternity leave. Because sometimes when you have to go to maternity leave, then you lose this position and you lose the opportunity to impact, to be the leader, to do what you really want. Another thing is we changed the possibility to have parents' payment and still have a maternity leave. We did it from 30% to 50%, and I believe we will go to more percent, that women will be paid more from their salaries, which have been paid before, even though they're on maternity leave. So it will encourage women still to work and to do maternity leave, because women are those who have babies. And that's how the nature is made. So I think it's one thing which should be changed, because that also makes payment gap. And those things are on our agenda. And third thing, I'm planning to do a memorandum for gender equality to be more presented in state-owned companies, in governance, that women can be chosen especially for gender equality.
Thank you very much. A little bit later, we'll have some more working groups on this, and whatever recommendations come out of it, I think we'll wind up giving to the Justice Minister to share with you what concretely could be done here, if not in Lithuania, Estonia, and elsewhere as well. So Arminta, Nasdaq is a significant and respected leader in the business community, especially in terms of good governance. And you have championed transparency around board diversity, certainly in the US exchange, but you've also championed diversity on boards in Europe before the EU legislated the 40% quota for women last year. In the Baltic, as we heard, we're only at half of this quota. What do you think needs to be done for this to change? Because legislation is one thing, reaching it is a different thing.
Right, and I think we've heard a very inspiring and so well argumented call to action from the professor Linda Scott, and it reminded me of a quote, I think, by Albert Einstein, that the world, the way we have created it, is a process of our thinking. So it cannot be changed without changing our thinking, and that's the way we can break those patterns. And I think to accelerate that change, first of all, we all, political, business leaders, policymakers, communities, and society at large need to be very intentional about it. So it has to be at the top of our agenda. And I also think that we need to promote mindset that it's not a zero-sum game. So nobody needs to feel threatened about it, because it's not that someone has to lose for the others to gain. By bringing more women on boards in high decision-making, everybody is winning, because we just have, we make smarter use of highly educated, as we could see, talent. We make more balanced, well-rounded decisions that benefit all constituents. And we also, in this way, help address some of the most pressing problems we have in our society, of poverty, of domestic violence, and others. So what do we need to do? I think we have gaps on both the demand side and the supply side that we have to bridge. And of course, the list could be long, but on the demand side, doing everything we can to promote and enforce diverse boards, and also help everybody understand the value of it, that it's not just for the sake of, you know, ticking the box, but there is a causality between diverse boards, better decisions, hence better performance, hence higher resilience, and in a very sustained way. Also, I think really having transparent selection and nomination process with clear, impartial criteria, also objective comparative assessment of the qualifications of candidates is really, really important, because then if this is in place, then a woman becomes a board director not because of her gender, but in spite of it. And on the supply side, just very briefly, I think it's the funnel. Because if we look at the Baltic countries, and it varies a bit by country and by sector, but I think we have a fairly fine representation of women in the middle management level. But we really fall short in the top executive level, and that limits the board bench. So when we talk about bringing more women on boards, it means we need to attract, first of all, to attract and retain more women in the C-suite. And every measure counts here, whether we talk about running trainings and mentorship, like Novatore is doing an amazing job in Latvia, Līga in Lithuania, by dismantling all these really rigid and brutal norms and stereotypes and biases that the Prime Minister spoke about, and also addressing all the issues of, you know, pay gap, motherhood penalty, unpaid work. Actually, this is one of the biggest barriers in the Baltic countries, that women carry unproportionate burden of unpaid work. And I would actually concur with Professor. I'm also optimistic. I think there is light at the end of the tunnel, because once you bridge the tipping point, the change accelerates due to the multiplier effect. Next to every top executive woman, there are 3 times more other female managers.
And the good news, many of them are in this room. So I think the exponential growth, there are lots of executives, C-suite executives in this room. There are lots of board members in this room. And then there are those aspiring to it. So, hey, we have a responsibility to work on all of the elements that Arminta just mentioned. It's really up to us. But then I move to you on this. I'm happy that you're in the middle of this group.
Thank you.
Yeah. I sit on 4 different supervisory boards in countries around, as of today, Lake NATO. Each one of them has an ESG strategy, and they are all well aware of the upcoming EU ESG reporting requirements, and most have also already encountered bank demands to address sustainability quite specifically, from CO2 emission reduction to financial transparency. But every time that I address the need for diversity at the top, the men smile, they nervously move in their seats, often give lip service to the topic, but don't see really why gender equality or any diversity for that matter is important for the workplace. How do you see that?
It actually surprises me. I think it was a really good presentation Professor Scott did. But for me, one actually don't need to do that much of research. Just think about the country. How do you want to maximize the value for the people in a country? Of course, to use the resources in the best way. If you then have 50% of the resources that you don't utilize in the best way, of course, you will not reach the maximum potential of the country. And the same it should be for a company, right? So in a corporation, when you want to maximize the potential of the company, maximize the value for the shareholders and for all the stakeholders, of course, you need to utilize the resources in the best way. And there is so much research showing that that is not really being done in the right way. So I'm a little bit irritated of those men smiling in that way, I must say, right? I like to smile, but not for that reason. So what we need to, of course, change this, but we can go back to data and show this in some very, very easy way. I think sustainability has been mentioned here as a new trend, and I'm working with that. I've been all the way on the business side, working with corporates my whole life in the bank. And it's actually shown, data is showing, it was actually Goldman Sachs, it's a pretty good source telling us that they looked on investment funds that are investing in doing sustainable investments. And it's so clear that those investment funds that are purely male dominated, they have a certain return. The ones that have either mixed or pure female, they have a better return. So you get a better return of your investments if you have a blended or a female dominance in that one. So that is quite clear. You can take other research showing this potential. I think these men actually should read a little bit about, right? It's research that's been published in Harvard Business Review, and that it shows that companies that have going from a pure male dominance in their management board and just introducing one or several females in that one, they change the way of running the company. They get more prone to do changes in the company, to drive change. And another thing as well is that they get more interested in investing in R&D. And that turns out that the companies that are still doing with a pure male dominance, they are much more, when we want to grow, than those companies, they grow with M&A, eyeing mergers and acquisitions, eyeing going out and conquering, taking over something else, coming back to warfare and so on. It's a little bit kind of that metaphor. And you can see that the companies, we know actually what is long-term creating value. So read the statistics and then act on it.
Follow-up short question. Do you think CSRD reporting requirements will change a view on diversity in company management?
I think that CSRD will change a lot of things. I think, unfortunately, there are so many companies in this region that still don't really know what they need to do in terms of this aspect. But I think this is a trend, this is a push. And this is what I'm now talking with a lot of corporates about as well, how we need to change things. But to hand on heart as well, I mean, it was 7 years ago, we imposed our own way of going out and reaching to corporates and talk about the topics. And my colleagues, even the excellent female executives, client executives we have, they feel that these diversity and inclusion topics, it's a little bit almost awkward actually to talk with the companies about it here. So it just tells me that we are not there. We're very far from it.
Okay, we
coming.
have a journey. Līga, you're one of the few people I know in the region who's had access to all kinds of enterprises, private and state-owned, and you know what those business leaders actually think. So could you share with us why the glass ceiling for women to get to the top is so high? Because you've worked also with lots of male-dominated business sectors. Or what do you think needs to be done to significantly reduce the pay gap? So we've already had some really good suggestions from Linda and Arminta.
Well, thank you, Baba. It's really the very, very wide experience in many sectors, and being in the NGO sector, being in the government side, and probably we are saying that the glass ceiling higher than, yeah, and this is the today's topic, which is the higher than and why it's so, and. Even being right now the president of the Red Cross, and also a few months ago being in Geneva in the Red Cross global organization leadership, and then also the election for the president, I saw how no. I must say that it's old boys' world, and even in such organizations, and I did my job, and I used my experience before, and together with the Nordic countries, Red Cross presidents, we put an effort, and we luckily. We get the woman president for Red Cross first time in the whole times. So the Kate Forbes from United States is the president of the Red Cross globally. But those are the experiences and capabilities to really to understand the field and to act. And I didn't sit in Geneva and just observe the things. I really actively used every time when opportunity, when I can persuade other countries to vote for women, and why, and what it will give. So but my advice is for a young lady is really to use these to train these abilities in organizations, and well, I prepared some 6 points which could I see that could be useful. But of course, first of all, it's encouraging female leadership, and through every possible version, and one of it's a mentorship programs and leadership developments, and really to give this showcase for their skills and expertises. And second thing is about the money, of course, and increasing access to funding. It could be really the big step forwards this glass ceiling to broke this. It will be good hammer for breaking this glass ceiling. But also question is about the financial literacy training about how to access. It's also what is our government is doing, but also many women and business organizations as well. Third thing is addressing unconscious bias, and these bias are various, and it's like sometimes like a Spider-Man into the companies. Fourth thing is to promoting work and life balance, and really this healthy work-life balance would be able to give this the confidence and also a little bit relaxed feeling, because I believe that many ladies felt this feeling that you still are very with a high temper about what is going on in kindergarten at home or at home, and at the same time in a job time. That's why the healthy work-life balance. Fifth point is the fostering networking opportunities, and this is really Novatore is the best example how to foster it. And one more thing, I believe that we are together creating the so-called normality. In these questions, normality is crucial, because maybe some 10 years ago, normality was the X dot, and right now it's Y dot. So this line between X and Y is still very, very hold on. And 6 is the strengthening education and training. Investing in education, it would be investing in our well-being. So be healthy, be trained, and be not agreeable. The glass ceiling is about that we are too much agreeable.
So you think we should be more annoying?
Yeah. Kind of. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Līga. We've heard actually a lot this morning already in a very short period of time, both from a hands-on approach to trying to reduce inequality from the Prime Minister of Latvia, Evika Siliņa. We really appreciate that you've been with us for the whole morning. We know you have other things to do. And there are lots of information, I think, that has triggered curiosity, at least, from Professor Linda Scott's intervention. And I would very much like to thank our panel, Arminta, Saladziene, Larsson, Līga, Meņģelsone, for participating this morning. Thank you very much. You are relieved from the stage.